I was born in 91, which makes me 25, almost 26. I work in social support services at Wollongong Council, and I am not married, but I'm engaged. I live in Coniston at the moment, and I've lived there for about 3 months. Before that, I was in North Gong, just near the Novotel. So I grew up down in Jervis Bay, so that's very well, remote sort of, but it's like country beach lifestyle, different to right in the middle of Wollongong where I'm living now. My mum still lives there. She lives on her own in it's like suburbia area, and her neighbours are always good. They kind of keep an eye out for her, and they're very like sense of community down there, definitely. Depending on traffic, peak hour it can take up to like 10 to 15 minutes, but it's about a 5-minute drive normally. We're in a 2-bedroom unit, and there's no backyard, unfortunately. We're renting. We'd like to own, but not in this market. Our lease ended in our previous property in North Gong, and it was the best available at the time, and it was still close to Wollongong CBD, and we needed somewhere a little bit still close to Wollongong, but not as crazy with the amount of people. Like there was a lot of people condensed into one place where we were before. They're mainly houses. We're probably one of a couple of unit blocks around the area, so it's a little bit more suburbia like that. There's a corner store on the corner of each end of our street, so we can kind of walk to either end and get like basics, which is good. And we're close to the train station. There's a bus that goes right near where we are as well, and that bus I believe goes straight into the CBD at Wollongong. And we're around the corner from the local pub. The place, like that little hub area with the post office just around the corner from us, is really like, you do get a sense of community there. Like the people seem to kind of know each other more than we did when we were living in central Wollongong. Yeah, we don't really have much to do with our neighbours, but that said, we've only been there for about 3 months. So, but yeah, the place, it's kind of like on the edge of Mangaton too, which is a nice area. So yeah, people kind of say hi when you walk past, because it's that kind of place. I like to stop and say hi to people, but it doesn't really go further than that if they don't really want to. Some people, like at first, just don't want to say anything to you, even though they know that you're new to the area. So that's a bit funny, but I think they've kind of warmed up, because every time I still say hi, like I'm just that type of person. So if someone continually says, oh hey, how you going, because you want to be nice to your neighbours, I think they kind of warm to me. We generally go to Wollongong or Fig Tree for like the bigger shops and everything, and we'll drive to that, but it's pretty easy to get to. I don't know about nighttime. I probably wouldn't want to walk around on my own, but the area is not always the best. Especially when there's like a council pickup, there's just a lot of stuff that kind of gets put on the edge of the road, and then you get a lot of people just kind of communal type area around all the rubbish, and they'll just be going through everything, and it's just, and then sometimes late at night there's like people, just kind of groups of younger people walking around and stuff, so I probably wouldn't want to be caught out in the wrong place. Bike to work sometimes, which is good. Sometimes it's just easier. So it seems a little bit silly using my car to go just from Coniston to Wollongong. When I was in North Gong, I never drove ever. Like I'd walk down the road and I'd be at work. So I'm kind of still getting used to using my car for every day. I don't really like to do that, because parking's not that fun around here, because I'm right in the middle of Wollongong at work. Usually get up in the morning and either go for a walk around my area, so that's like Mangaton Way, and that's always nice, or I'll go to the gym and I'll drive to the gym. And I go to a gym at Woonona at the moment, so that's a bit of a hike. And then I'll get home, then I'll go to work. I'll usually drive to work or ride my bike, and then I'm at work for the day, and then I drive home at work, and then in the afternoon it really depends what I'm up to, studying, or I mainly will be at home of an evening in the week. It's my typical day. Pretty exciting. Well, I think around here there's a lot of loneliness, just because my area of work really is around allowing older people in our community that live at home on loan to access the community. So that's kind of my job, to make sure that they don't feel lonely in their own homes. We get a lot of people that are lonely at home, especially the elderly or people with a disability. They're a little bit isolated. So the fact that there's a whole team of us at council that kind of are designed to make sure that there's no isolation kind of says a lot about the fact that there is. On a personal level, if I wasn't living with someone, I live with my partner, I wouldn't really see many people, like if in my day-to-day, like going just from home to work, that I don't really talk to my neighbours or anything. So I probably would be more socially isolated. Like you have to make effort to go and see people and make that time with your friends and everything. Just by default, we kind of spend the most time with our partners, I suppose, because they're there. Well, I've never lived by myself, so I lived with my sister before I was living with my partner. So again, I kind of would default to kind of spend most of the time with her. I find it's like very much on the young person as an individual to make their social network. In the elderly community, it's just while you're accessing services for everything else in your home, and when you feel less mobile, you might lose your license. That's kind of what prompts people to kind of have that social support kick in. At the moment, like I'm completely fit and able to make my own social interactions happen. So that's kind of why I guess it's not a regular thing for maybe young people, because we're more kind of inclined to stick to our own little groups. I guess if it was more of there was more like open opportunities for like random social interactions, then I would take it up. But that's kind of my personality. I'm happy to talk to random people if I kind of come in that situation where, I'll be sitting waiting for something and someone's sitting next to me. Like I'm happy to have that conversation with people. Well, as long as it's like a positive type interaction. But like you do find funny people that like you meet all different types of people. So if it's a good interaction, like, and you can kind of walk away or it made you smile or something, then of course it makes me feel better about doing it. But then again, I do that for work as well. Like I go out and I talk to people, random people all the time. Like I'm out in the community a lot. So I do enjoy just, hearing people's stories and giving everyone an opportunity to kind of have a chat. And it's amazing the things you learn from people if you, and put judgment aside as well. I'm very open to talking to people from all different backgrounds, and I find they have the best stories, the people that a little bit keep to themselves and stuff like that. So I like to encourage people to have a chat, especially if you're in a doctor's surgery or something that's completely, dull otherwise. Oh, definitely. If they're reacting and they're actually interacting with you, then you can tell that it's something that it means to them, especially when it's the elderly. Sometimes when you're having those conversations, that it's the only conversation that they've had, all week with someone. Tell the conversations that you have with people when they're just like, they're not into it, you just kind of leave them alone. And then there's a difference between, the other end of the scale where someone wants to talk to you and really, that they get something out of the conversation. So it kind of like picks up, I guess. That's always the better feelings after those ones, if you feel like you're glad you said something to the people or the person or something like that. I think like in this situation where I would talk to someone randomly, it's not in like a hostile type situation. Like I probably wouldn't talk to someone as openly as I would if I didn't feel like it was going to be a positive interaction. I'd only do it when it's comfortable, and it's pretty quick to kind of end the conversation when it's not going too well. If I were to walk down the street in Sanctuary Point where I grew up, I'm a lot more inclined to have that, because that's just the attitude down there. It's a lot more relaxed. Rather than Wollongong, I probably would walk down the main street and not say hello to everyone that I walk past. You really don't kind of, unless you know them, you don't really say hi kind of walking past. But down there, especially like on the beach and things like that, like you'll stop and have conversations with random people. If I guess I never grew up with that, I would maybe think it's a bit weird if I kind of had those interactions with people in Wollongong. So I guess I'm more open to it because of that. Probably see my friends more, make a little bit more effort. I don't know if I'd make more effort with my neighbours. I just kind of like the idea of, not being hassled by people all the time when you're at home, and not be inclined to say no to things like when you're invited to them. Like you're more like, I should probably be social this week, so I'll say yes to things. I guess the programs that we organise, you said they're designed for the older people in the community, but it's pretty, I guess if it was the norm to kind of just have a random group of people my age to kind of meet up on a Wednesday and have lunch together and you know, if that was a normal thing, I guess I'd give it a go.